Hi, I'm
All right.
Jared Jascott, and I'm here with Brian Wilkinson. We're both in the Baltimore area, and today we're going to address, are bots better than humans as law firm employees? And if they're not, how can they get better? And if they are, how can they get better? We're going to show you some data that we've gathered from a lot of law firm bot and non-bot conversations, and we're also going to do a demo of some live conversations. And then finally, Brian's actually going to demo for you our brand new, never before seen model of how we're attempting to get better at understanding what immigrants type to their lawyers in Messenger. How's that sound to you, Brian?
Sounds very accurate.
Perfect.
So
Your favorite word.
Yeah, I like accuracy. So we're going into, I'm going to present some, here we go.
Awesome.
Right. So these are from, we developed these last week, but they capture what we're trying to explain really well, right? Jared asked the question, are bots better than humans? And so the first question is we have to answer is, in which dimension, right?
Right.
So this is for Jared's own personal bot. And so we're going to compare him to all pages with a bot and then pages that hadn't previously had a bot. We see that the bots in general tend to have a little bit longer of a conversation, which could be good or could be bad. They might be longer because there's more hoops you have to jump through, but they might be longer because people enjoy talking to them better because the response is immediate.
Right. What we see in a lot of law firms is that, the law firm doesn't get back to the conversation until Monday morning, but somebody maybe messages them at 7 p.m. on Friday night.
Exactly.
Whereas a bot is right there to talk to them. It's not as smart as a human yet, but it's there. So the instantaneous response perhaps is picking up a bit for the lack of bot intelligence.
Exactly. Now, one place that we've seen bots clearly do better is the percentage of conversations that they get a phone number out of.
And this, for lawyers, this is a really key conversion metric. A lot of lawyers, especially lawyers that are paying for ads, they're driving conversations into their page. And the goal here is to get that person's contact info so that you can schedule them for a consult. And I mean, we can see here that the bot is actually outperforming. It's 7 times better nearly than humans, which is a huge lift.
On average, yeah.
On average. There's some bots that don't do a very good job as well. So, I mean, I think one of your big points you're always making, Brian, is it depends on the bot.
Yeah, and I think we'll get to that in a second when we get down to this nice little plot we have below. One thing I wanted to point out, though, is that an area where human run pages tend to do better is conversations that last more than one inquiry, one message.
Oh.
And I think that a lot of this is a personal type whatever message they need to get the bot started and going and then leave, right? Whereas if they're talking to a human, they're more likely to be engaged.
Cool.
Now, we can see from your bot does about 87% there, which is still below 10% below what the non-bot pages are doing.
Yeah.
But there is a wide range, and a lot of that comes down to good bot design.
Yeah.
And a lot of factors beyond just if it's a bot or not bot.
One of the things that I think is so interesting about the information we have, and if you could go down to the plot, I think it'll show folks, is that we actually, we have in this study a lot of different bots. See, a lot of these lawyers built their own bots or someone built a bot for them. So there's actually sort of a broad diversity in the skill sets of those bots on the different metrics that Brian's measuring them by. And if you could kind of walk them through this, maybe you could scroll down a little more, Brian, so I could see that average conversations per day.
See if we can get it on the screen. There we go.
All right, so walk us through this.
Yeah, for sure. So the red round dots represent a page using a bot. The triangular kind of teal color is a messaging page that uses a human. And the firm we're interested in this case, Jascott Law, is big and purple. So on this x-axis, we have average conversations per day. It's in a log scale because there's a lot of clumping between 1 and 10 and between 0 and 1, actually. But then we have a few that do very, very well that I also wanted to point out. So we can see that if you're using a human, you're probably not getting more than 10% of conversations ending or involving acquiring a phone number. If you're using a bot, you may be getting upwards of 30%, 20%, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee it. A lot of it's down to bot design. So there's a difference between good bots and just any bot.
And that, just to be clear, I mean, there are no bots in this study right here that have machine learning or natural language processing involved. We're going to demonstrate one that we have a working prototype of a machine learning bot, and then Brian's going to sort of bring forward the model that he's building. But all these bots are just, there's old school AI, regular menu driven decision tree bots, but design matters. And you can see here the difference is immense. I mean, one of those bots is like something like under 2% at getting phone numbers. It's just totally ineffective. So even good bot design, before you even get to the really exciting machine learning stuff, can really give a big lift to a law firm.
Totally. And so I just want to point out that my y-axis here doesn't go all the way up to 100. Okay. So there's a large amount of space far out to the right and high up that is where we want to go, right? We want to be able to scale high in the number of conversations and get a lot of phone numbers or whatever other piece of information we think is critical to get.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think that we're starting to see a trend that we'll discuss in another video of where it may be actually that like inserting some friction is desirable. In other words, perhaps we only want to get 10% of the phone numbers because those 10% are the people that we actually want to call. So, I think that we're going to fiddle with this, but I love this graph. Thanks for showing it.
Yeah. Do you want to jump over to your demo now?
Sure.
Okay, great.
Let's do the demo. All right. So the bot that we just saw is at my law firm. Its name is Oscar. Can you see my screen, Brian?
Yeah, maybe make it, if you hit the eye in the corner, you can hide the information at least. The eye in the upper right, sorry, above the sort of side panel.
Ah, there we go.
And then, yeah, maybe make it a little bigger.
How's that?
That's probably fine. Yeah, that's good.
So somebody comes to my law firm and they talk to my bot and they say, get started. And here's the message. They get a little, I'm Oscar, and it shows them a photo of my law firm. And then it tries to get them to click. But often what people actually do is they say, you know what? I want a consultation. They just start talking because they don't know they're talking to a bot or they're not used to it. They just want to talk. But guess what? Oscar just shoots back, okay, I'll show you conversation options. So someone can ultimately book a consult by tapping legal help and then says, here, describe your legal problem. And I'll say, I want to apply for citizenship. Now, Oscar does not understand it. Right there, he says, I can't answer that question yet. Then he gets my phone number, and that will get sent to in my case, that gets sent actually to a call center who will now call me and try to schedule me for a consult. But so you can see that's how my bot actually gets a high percentage of consults, but it's not that smart, and it's not giving people what they want. So here, actually, we're going to come over to the new bot that we have, and here it only speaks Spanish right now, so we're going to say, yo quiero una consulta, and let's see what it does. So this bot can actually understand what's typed at it. Look, wow, it understood. Buena idea. Las consultas le ayudarán a entender su caso y sus opciones. So perfect. It understood it, and it told me, great idea. Consults can help you understand your case. You can see right there that compared to Oscar that we were just looking at, that actually skipped a bunch of steps. It made me feel like I was heard. And now it's telling me, do you want me to call? Do you want to call me? Do you want me to call you, or I will call? So actually, we have the menu set up here with Quiero llamar and Yo llamo, which is the same thing. But you can see how with just a limited amount of AI, we're already making the user experience just a little bit better. And so what the goal is for us to get even better and understand more of what people say and be able to give them substantive answers. So, you know, they may say, can I apply for citizenship? And down the road, we're going to say, have you been a legal permanent resident for 5 years? You know, we'll be able to ask them the same question that a lawyer would and give them the answers they need. Maybe they don't need a consult. Maybe they don't want a consult, but we can still help them with these bots. But what that requires is a ton more understanding. And so what Brian's been doing actually is he took this thing. It's the most state-of-the-art transformer model called Bert. There's a Spanish version of it called Beto, and it was designed by the University of Chile.
Correct.
And so Brian actually rolled that Beto out and started training on the data that we have. But I think it had some problems, right, Brian?
Yeah, so I'll explain why. First, I'm going to just...
a Jupyter notebook for those of you that don't know, and this shows you sort of, this is Brian's machine learning algorithm running on the Jupyter notebook, so you can see how it works.
Right, so I'm loading both the original model I got directly from the University of Chile, which is, this version just says it's Spanish and it uses case as opposed to being all lowercase. And then I also loaded what I'm calling phone Beto.
Cool.
And the phone Beto is the one. And so what we're going to do while this loads, I want to show you how it struggles a little bit.
Okay.
And so I've taken, if you go to Wikipedia today in Spanish, the featured article is about La Vanitas, which is a repeated theme in art.
Okay.
So I just took the first sentence from that, and that's going to be our sort of what we'll call standard Spanish example.
Perfect.
And then to show more like what you'd get in the bots, you get a lot of misspellings, right? So this is one of the most common misspellings we see, hacer. And then you get a lot of just intentional abbreviations, right? People not spelling out que, etc. So this is actually a real example taken from a chat from Jared's bot.
Right.
And
but
so
just to go a little slower, right? Instead of writing K, Q, U, E, they just write the letter Q. And then instead of hacer, which should be spelled H-A-C-E-R, they write A-C-E-R. Now, in our goal, what we have to do is our computer has to understand that A-C-E-R means the same thing as H-A-C-E-R, so that it can respond coherently to them. And the Beto model that you got did not do that, right?
Exactly. And so just to be clear, both of these models have never seen these sentences for what I'm going to ask it to do.
Well, this is a true test.
So I need to encode these sentences in a certain way. So that's all this line does.
Okay.
And I'm going to replace a specific word in each sentence with a special token here, mask. Okay. It's essentially like inserting a blank into it and then telling the model fill in the blank.
Perfect.
Right. So we're going to run this. You'll see that from this client example, we made the blank para.
Okay.
And in the Wikipedia example, far down the line here is the word vida.
Okay. So you hide it, and then like the idea is if this thing understands Spanish, it will be able to guess that the right word is vida.
Correct. Okay. And so here we put in the sample using both original Beto and phone Beto. And original Beto did not do well, right?
It didn't understand it.
It replaced de with, or it replaced what should have been para with de. It did not fill in the blank correctly. Okay.
And that's very, I mean, that's huge difference if you think about the legal context, because in the idea of I want to help, what can I do for my kids? That's very much different. That's a very different thing than what can I do of my kids, which would sort of imply that the user was talking about something that was being granted to them from their kids rather than something they're trying to do for their kids. And so if you don't understand that difference as the machine, your answer is not going to be coherent or accurate.
Exactly. And so this process is actually how we are teaching the bot to learn Spanish. We take a bunch of sentences and we remove some words and then say, guess the words. If they guess the words wrong, we adjust the bot and we carry on. And the reason this is so important is this model is going to form the foundation to all the other models we build on top of it for things like determining what sort of services the client might be interested in. Things more granular than that, like is the client married, etc. Right? And so we know that in the style of Spanish, the diverse styles that are used with these bots, Phone Beto does a better job than original Beto. It's still important, though, to know that it still understands standard book written Spanish. So I'm going to do the same little experiment here. We're going to run the sentence from Wikipedia through the original and the Phone Beto.
Right.
And you'll see they come out exactly the same. It still correctly inserts vida in the right place, right? And so this is a big ability for us that we're still improving. We want to make Phone Beto really good at understanding the style of Spanish spoken on these bots so that the subsequent tasks become a lot easier because we already, in essence, understand the language.
Right. So ultimately, where we're going with this is we're going to have a natural language processing unit in Phone Beto that can understand attorneys' clients' conversations, and not just across immigration. This is really going to allow us, when we combine it with our logic, to understand immigration, but a lot of other fields as well. And really any sort of consumer-facing conversation with a chatbot that's in Spanish, hopefully Phone Beto will be able to understand.
Exactly. Correct.
Awesome. Well, you're doing good work, Brian, and I'm really excited to see how this ends up. Do you have anything you want to close up with?
No, just the feedback's been really helpful for us, I think. And if you're interested in more details about like the techniques behind this, I'd be happy to teach you a little bit about them, point you in some right directions. But there's a lot of really cool advances going on right now. It's very exciting to be working with, first of all, a language that's not English, but then even furthermore, a language that's sufficiently different in its dialogue than what we normally look at from an academic standpoint.
Awesome. Yeah, for me too. Well, thanks again, Brian.
Yeah, of course. Talk to you later.